What's up, guys? Chris over here at Cover 7. Just want to give a shout out to everyone who's liked, commented, and subscribed to the channel. I can't tell you guys how far that goes on a small channel like mine. At the end of the day, I'm just a college football fan. Nebraska happens to be my favorite team. I am not an expert by any means, and I try to give the most unbiased opinion as I can here, even when talking about my Huskers. And we're going to be talking about the Iowa Hawkeyes here. So with that being said, you really want to help the channel out, and I hope you do. Give this a thumbs up, man. It's completely free. It takes 2 seconds. It helps me out a ton. I would really, really appreciate it. With that being said, this is going to be a longer video as I got a lot to say about my Huskers because I didn't talk about them versus Penn State on a post game. So it took me 3 days to get over it. So here I am today. We'll start with Iowa here, and there's a few things I want to say about Iowa too. I've covered Iowa I think 3 times this year. The first video I ever put out on Iowa, and I think it was versus Oregon, man, I got shit on in the comment sections by Iowa people. I didn't say anything bad about Iowa. I just picked Oregon to win the football game, of course. And look, I know it's the internet. It comes with the territory of doing this, but like I've never had a fan base like just completely hate on me because I'm from Nebraska. Well, I want to let you know, because I am from Nebraska, one, I can talk about your team, for one. Two, I have nothing against Iowa. They're not my rival. They're not. One, Nebraska would actually have to win a couple more games in this rivalry because they've been dominated by Iowa the last, 15, 16 times they've played. But I have nothing against Iowa. If you really want to know my true thoughts and opinions about Iowa, I actually think they're a really good football team under a good coach that does a really good job there for the last, Kirk Ferentz feels like he's been there for like 30 years. Iowa's a physical team. They're not going to beat themselves. They're not going to wow you offensively or anything like that, but they win games, and that's what they do. So I have a lot of respect for programs like that. So Iowa fans, I glazed you over there, man. You've had a good year. And speaking of the year that you've had, you're 7-4. And look, you're tied for, I think, sixth in the Big Ten right now. If you look at Iowa's losses this year, man, they lost to Iowa State. Iowa State's not a bad team. I think if Iowa and Iowa State were to play 10 times, I actually think Iowa would win probably 7 of those. Regardless, they lost that game early in the year. But look at these 3 losses: Indiana, Oregon, and USC. These are 3 of the top 15 teams in the country. And I think Iowa lost those games. You can correct me if I'm wrong, by like a combined score of less than 10 points. I mean, Iowa's been in every single game they played this year. They're a tough, tough team. They're hard to beat. They're hard to get rid of, especially when they're playing at home as well. So, with that being said, they're led by quarterback Mark Gronkowski. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's not going to throw it a ton, but I actually think he is a way better upgrade than what they've had in the past at quarterback. He sits 16th in the Big Ten in passing yards, which big deal. He's got 7 touchdown passes. Yeah, he's not going to wow you there, but he only has 6 picks, so he's not turning the ball over. Like I said, Iowa, unless you've been in a coma, doesn't throw the ball a ton. They don't need to. The big thing here is where he can kill you is on the ground. He's got over 400 yards, and get this, he's got 13 touchdowns on the year, dude. That's about as many as Emmett Johnson, our running back, has. Like, this guy gets in the end zone inside the goal line. It's crazy. Running back Kamari Moltron, he's a workhorse. He averages over 5 yards per carry. He's only got 2 touchdowns. That's because Mark keeps vulturing all his TDs down inside the red zone. Regardless, though, I was going to run the ball at you, ball control type of offense. As far as the pass catchers go, I'm actually pretty impressed with some of these guys. They don't get a lot of love because they don't throw it a lot, like I said, but Jacob Gill, Sam Phillips, DJ Vonheim, the tight end, and then their boy Caden Weegan. You get the ball to him, he's a big play waiting to happen. He's their punt returner. This kid can make some plays. I've seen it. It seems like Iowa every year has some kid like this that can break a game open. So he's one of those. Nebraska will have to key on him a little bit here. As far as the ranks go, real quickly, Iowa actually ranks 120th out of 134 teams in total offense. They are 50th in rushing offense. They are 129th in passing offense. The only teams that don't throw the ball as much as Iowa are the service academies, which run the option. Kind of crazy there, but they're really good at protecting the quarterback, though. They've only allowed 16 sacks on the year. That's 34th best in the nation. Now, get this, and people don't notice this, and this is why I do break down stats, by the way. I don't base my opinions off of stats. It does give a baseline, though. Iowa averages actually 28.1 points per game. That's a lot better than what they've been in previous years. So they do score. When they get the ball, they're pretty damn efficient with it. It just takes them a long time to get down there. They're going to keep your offense off the field with their offense being on the field. That's what they want to do. So 28 points per game, not bad at all. As far as the defense goes, and I've said this before, and I know I kind of pissed off some Iowa fans a couple weeks ago about this comment, and I don't know if they took it the wrong way or what, because it actually kind of upsets me if I were an Iowa fan. Their defense, dude, I swear to God, the last 10 years, for example, if they would have an offense that could score when their defense doesn't play their best games at a more efficient clip, they would be in the playoffs almost every single year in a 12 team. Like, I'm dead serious. Their defense is that freaking good year in, year out. You don't believe me? Check these stats out. And oh, by the way, they've played really good teams, by the way, much tougher teams than Nebraska's played this season. Iowa sits 8th in total defense, 14th versus the run. They are 12th versus the pass. They are 79th in sacks on the season with 21. That's really impressive. Like I said, their defense is really freaking good. They will play you in a phone booth. They will not beat themselves. They win the turnover battle, and it's rare to see a flag thrown on Iowa. They're a very disciplined team. Like I said, I've been saying that for years about Iowa and Kurt Ferentz. I think you guys know that. So with that being said, I glazed over Iowa there. We're going to talk about my team, Nebraska, here. And as I said, guys, I apologize. This video is a little bit different because there's a lot of things I want to say. Because of the way that we lost this last weekend to Penn State 37-10, we got our dicks pushed in the dirt. I don't know what else to say. That game wasn't even close from the time it kicked off to the time it was over. I thought Nebraska played poorly. They looked uninterested, uninvested. Matt Rule looked like a Verizon wireless manager standing on the sideline with his mouth open. It just looked like he was in awe. And if there was ever a game I thought Nebraska needed to win or play well at least in, would have been this one, considering, if you don't know, Matt Rule played at Penn State. He was a linebacker back in the 90s there. He's best friends with their AD. Their interim coach they got is one of his former staff members. Like, he's friends with the guy. Like, I thought we would come out with some enthusiasm, and it just looked completely opposite. I mean, it's a night game. The world's watching. You're playing at Happy Valley, man. Like, come on, man. I was really disappointed as a Husker fan how we looked the entirety of that football game. Now, again, let's talk about TJ Lateef here. The offense was terrible. And I'm not blaming this on TJ Lateef. I got to give the kid a little bit of a pass here. He's a freshman. This is his second start. He's started on the road last week or 2 weeks ago against UCLA. He threw the ball 37 times in this one, which is a lot, for 187 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. So, okay, I can live with that, I guess. And I better preference this to around this because I don't think people really understood this. I mentioned it on my Penn State Nebraska video. And if you were paying attention, this almost happened word for word. Penn State is a really good football team. Throw the 4-6 bullshit record out the window. They were picked to win the Natty by a lot of national pundits, people online, dumbasses like myself on YouTube. I didn't pick them to win it, but I definitely thought they were making the Final Four this year. It didn't happen. So we all know what happened with their head coach and what happened after the Oregon game, and then they lost to UCLA, and then they end up losing to Northwestern. They fired James Franklin, whatever. This team is still loaded with all these guys, so all this NFL talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're really good, and they've been playing really, really well lately, and they've played a couple really tough teams in the Big Ten, and they played them tough. So they were a good football team. There's a reason why I picked Penn State to beat us. I just didn't see the score being 37-10, to be honest. But they did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They were going to try to shut down Emmett Johnson. Anybody with a brain, I guarantee you, Iowa's looking at this game this week going, all you got to do is shut down Emmett Johnson somehow. Somehow. If he gets 100 yards, so be it. Make Lateef, that freshman, throw the football. Get after him. Nebraska's O-line is dog shit. That's what they're going to do, and that's what Penn State did, right? Especially on the defensive side of the ball. Emmett Johnson had, I think 19 carries for 103 yards. While that doesn't look terrible, averaging almost 5 yards a carry, the problem is he had the one big run for 50-some-odd yards. Penn State bottled him up after that, and then forced Lateef to throw the football. I thought Lateef threw the ball okay. He makes some really nice throws on the run. God, he's athletic as shit. I love that because, to me, personally, and I know this is a touchy subject, but this is just my opinion. Right now, in 2.5 games I've seen of Lateef, I like him more than I do Dylan Raiola after 20-some-odd games. That's just me. You can argue with me in the comment section if you want to, but I like the way he plays. He just seems more efficient back there. He seems more decisive and knows what he's doing. He didn't play great. It wouldn't have mattered if we had Dylan Raiola in this game. We would have took probably, instead of taking 3 sacks in this game, I honestly think we would have took 8 or 9, and I'm not joking. Lateef, the one thing great about him is, man, he makes a read, he gets out of the pocket, he runs, he just goes. Raiola likes to stand back there, hold the ball forever. You guys know the drill. That's just my take there offensively, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good in this game, and it's going to have to be a hell of a lot better here against Iowa. Iowa's just got just as good a defense and honestly a better one, in my opinion, than Penn State right now. Okay, as far as the ranks, let's go through them real quickly here for Nebraska offensively. They're 73rd in the country in total offense. That's right in the middle. They're 87th in rushing offense. That's not really good. Yes, we have a really good running back. but we don't do anything outside of that running the football. We're 52nd in passing offense. Okay, fine, whatever. 113th, though, in sacks allowed. I mentioned it. We gave up 3 against Penn State. If Raiola would have been back there, we would have took 6, 7, 8 probably. The offensive line just isn't good. At this point in the season, guys, I said this about everything so far a couple weeks ago. You're not going to change now. It's too far in the year now. You are what you are. And Nebraska, in my opinion, is a very soft team on the lines of scrimmage. I'm going to say it. They're soft. Nebraska does, though, on offense, average just over 30 points per game. That's not bad this year. So we'll take that. Now, defensively, and this is where I've caught a lot of heat from some Nebraska fans as well, I don't think the defense is that good. I think they're overrated. Yes, on paper, games aren't played on paper. I know this, so do you. They still sit 20th in total defense, which is very skewed because of the cans of corn we played earlier in the year and some of the worst Big Ten teams earlier in the middle of the season. Okay, that's fine, but here's the problem, and this has been the problem all year long, dating all the way back. If you watch my video versus Cincinnati, I was so disappointed in this because I thought it would be different this year, and it hasn't changed one bit. It's the run defense. It's actually getting worse. There are teams like Maryland, Michigan State that don't even know how to run the football, are running the ball efficiently against us. We are sitting 93rd in the country versus the run. That's a major concern. And like I said in that Penn State video, they were going to pound the ball at us because we cannot stop it. So therefore, you don't have to pass. Nebraska is still number 2 in the country as far as stats go in passing defense. Well, why throw the ball when you can run it? Pretty simple. We're 94th in the country as well in sacks. We only have 19 on the year. A majority of those came early in the year against the elementary schools. Nebraska doesn't get to the quarterback either. That's another problem. It's just the defense just isn't that good. I'm sorry, John Butler, but I'm not impressed. I've seen enough. With that being said, as far as the prediction goes here, and I'm gonna dig in just a little bit deeper. I want to say this before I give my prediction, and if you're with me here, I had a couple people, and I got pretty thick skin, but I had a couple people last week because I picked Penn State to beat Nebraska. 2 people commented and said basically the same thing. Chris, I don't think you're a true Nebraska fan when you pick Nebraska to lose. To me, that's kind of a human potato level take. Like, am I supposed to come on here, or do you want somebody to come on here essentially and blow smoke up your ass and tell you that your team's the greatest, they're going undefeated and winning 19 national titles and 14 Heisman trophies? Like, I'm not doing that. I don't do that, and this channel will never be that way. I don't do that about anybody else's team, and I sure shit ain't going to do it about my own. That would look really stupid. It's not that because I don't want Nebraska to win, or I don't would love nothing more to compete for a conference championship, or God, someday make the playoffs. Oh my God. Nebraska fans, you real ones know what I'm talking about here. It's what I've seen, and I watch a lot of other college football. You people, some of these people need to remember this. I don't just watch Nebraska football. I watch not just Big Ten. I watch every single game I can possibly watch on a Saturday. I know what the good teams look like, and I know what they're doing. Now, I'm not claiming to be an expert or know everything. I don't, not at all. I like to think I'm smart because I listen to people that are smarter than me. Nebraska's not going to probably win this game. What would make you think Nebraska can win this game? And before you answer that, what type of teams does Nebraska struggle against? The Minnesotas, the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Indiana, the Illinois, the Iowas. What do they all have in common? Run the ball, great lines of scrimmage on both sides, and great defenses. That's Iowa in a nutshell. I just rattled off every single thing earlier about Iowa. We can't beat those teams. And until I see us beat those teams by playing that style of football, I mean, a wish and a prayer here that maybe Nebraska comes out firing all cylinders and Iowa turns the ball over 2 or 3 times and we get a big special teams play. Maybe. But then I'm still concerned that our defense still can't stop anybody running the football. And we know Iowa's going to run the football. They know that they're going to run the football on us. They know that. And at this point in the season, there's nothing to tell me that, like, hey, Nebraska's going to stop the run this game. Unless a miracle happens here, I don't see it. There's a reason why Iowa, guys, is favored by a touchdown on the road in Nebraska. That's huge. And Iowa never wins games by more than a touchdown usually. So that tells you on a Hell, if we were playing on the road here in Iowa, they'd be favored by 10. I just don't see it, guys. I want to be wrong. God, I wish I was wrong on this channel more when it comes to Nebraska. I said they were going 8-4, 9-3 this year. I've picked every single loss except for the Minnesota one so far, and I hate that. I want to win these games. I do. I guess one good thing we have going for us, Iowa's currently not ranked, so I guess that's a good thing because we can't beat a ranked team. I think we're 0-30 or 0-29, but I just don't see it. Iowa is not only that, Iowa's owned us in this rivalry. I think it's since joining the Big Ten, they've won 13 times or something like that. I mean, it's just not good, man. And it's hard for me anymore as a Nebraska fan. And I know some of y'all feel me on this, where it's just like, look, I'm praying that they win, but realistically, if you had to put money down on a game or somebody was holding a gun to your head, would you really pick Nebraska to win this football game, considering what you saw last weekend? I think that was my biggest thing, because I went into that game against Penn State knowing that we were going to have to play incredibly well to beat them. But I thought, man, we're gonna keep this game close, though. That's what I thought. I honestly thought that, and it didn't happen. But I thought, man, if we kept it close, hell, I said Nebraska's going to win this Iowa game. Like they're gonna end up winning it. But now I can't. When you get blown out by 4 touchdowns and looked completely uninterested, Matt Rule to me looked like a guy that doesn't want to be there. If you guys saw his post game press conference too, by the way, like I was more mad after his post game than I was the actual game, which is hard to imagine. He literally answered every question. On to the next week. This one's over. Not a big deal. I mean, he didn't care. It was like he didn't give a shit. Like, how do you not give a shit, man? Like, you just got blown out in a game against your alma mater where I thought, and everybody thought you were going to go out and must-win game. You're going to play your best. God, man, they looked horrible. I just, like, I don't, like, I haven't said this yet, and I'm going to say it today because it's the end of the season for Nebraska, essentially. Like, I've never been a big Matt Rule fan, and please don't take that as I think he's a really good guy, and I think the players like him, and I think he's good in the community, and he's damn good in front of a microphone. But as a head coach, what we're paying him and what he's going to give us or has given us so far, I don't even think he's a top 40 coach in the country. I've been saying that for a while. I didn't particularly love the hire. I know that's easy to say now, but I didn't love the hire. If you knew me close enough then a couple years ago, I didn't. He's a guy that can take a bad team, which Nebraska was when he inherited him, don't get me wrong, from 3, 4, 5 wins to 6, 7, or 8. That's it. I don't think he's some upper echelon going to take you to conference. He's not a Kurt Stegnetti. He's not a Dan Lanning. He's not a Ryan Day. It's not happening, man. I don't even think he's a Brett Bielema of the world. Hell, you give PJ Fleck at Minnesota more recruiting options in a different environment. I think he's a better coach. I really do. Those guys, and Kurt Ferentz is a perfect example in Iowa, the perfect example, get more out of their players and programs than what Matt Rule's ever going to probably get here out of Nebraska. And I don't mean to say that to be a hater. I'm sure some of y'all clicked off when I said that, but I don't feel like he's somebody that can get it done. Now, I know people are going to say, well, give him time. Well, don't worry. We extended him. He's going to get plenty of time here. But is there anything now going into next year that makes you think it's going to be better? Because I'm going to tell you something here. And if you don't know this about Matt Rule, this is very true, and this is a true thing. His staff, he's best friends with. All these guys have come from his days at, when he was with Carolina or with Baylor. Dylan Raiola's uncle, who played here, is the offensive line coach. This guy should have been fired, man. This guy should have been fired months ago. He doesn't know what he's doing. The offensive line is terrible. John Butler's one of his best friends. He's not going to get rid of somebody like that. That's a problem. You shouldn't be probably best friends or super, super close with your staff. I think you should get along, obviously, but at the end of the day, you're going to be forced at some point, if things go downhill next year, hey, you're going to have to get rid of your defensive coordinator. Can he do that? I don't think he can. He's also never been in a position like that because he leaves every 3 years. I'm just saying, guys, there's not a lot that I'm looking at this year and the previous 2 years thinking next year anything's going to be any different than a 6, 7, potentially 8-win season. And if 6, 7, or 8 wins is good enough for you, then I think Matt Rule is a guy that you probably like here. Now, we're all entitled to our own opinion, but that's not enough for me. I don't sit here and go, well, Chris, you just think Nebraska should win national titles? No, I'm going to be lucky to ever see Nebraska ever make a playoff game at this point, let alone ever win a natty. I don't think Nebraska will probably ever win a natty in my lifetime. But what I'd like to see, though, is every 3 years play in a conference championship or compete like what USC, Oregon, Penn State, Iowa State, or Ohio State is doing. Like, that would be cool with me. Hell, I'd take Iowa, what they have now, in a lot of 8, 9, 10 win seasons. A few years ago, they were playing in the Big Ten title game when we had the East West divisions. Like, I just want to be competitive, man. We've lost 29 straight to ranked teams. A team like Iowa, who doesn't have as much talent on the field but gets 10 times more out of it, beats the shit out of us. Minnesota is another program. I just mentioned them for the 100th time. Another team that doesn't have near the talent but beats the hell out of us. It gets to a point where it is what it is. And I think Nebraska at some point is going to have to move on from Matt Rule. I'm not saying fire him today. Please don't take it that way. But this is the end of the year for Nebraska. They lose this game. They're going to be sitting on 7-5. They're going to go to a goddamn bowl game that nobody cares about. I know I don't give two shit. Nobody cares about bowl games anymore. Bowl games are dead. Now that there's a 12-team playoff, players and NIL are bouncing around now after the season. Hell, there's players quitting on teams right now with 2 weeks left to go in the season. It doesn't matter. And it's going to be a 7-5 season. And unless they can pull a miracle out here and win this game and give us something going into next year, that would be great, but I don't see it happening, guys. So I apologize for the long-winded rant there. There was a lot that I needed to unpack. The next video I do, hopefully, is not near that long, and I'm going to be rooting for my Huskers like I always do, but I'm taking this one with a grain of salt. I really am. I've watched too much Iowa to know what they can do to us, and I hope I'm wrong, guys. I hope I'm wrong. So with that being said, I appreciate everything, and thank you.